This week on LoyalTV, we visit Kingfisher, Oklahoma, where a contentious battle of politics over self-governance left the city with a governor's mansion in the wrong place.
Each city wanted to be the territorial capital because it would have meant more say in the legislature, what bills got passed, more prestige for people in the community. The decision was split between Guthrie, Kingfisher, and Oklahoma City. They went to Guthrie to take a vote as to who would be the new capital, and the representatives from Oklahoma City got with the representatives from Kingfisher, and they said, neither of us have enough people to get by on our own, so why don't we band together, and the first time we'll all vote for Oklahoma City, and if it doesn't work, then the next vote we'll all vote for Kingfisher. So they took the vote, Oklahoma City won, but Kingfisher went to Governor Seay and said, why don't you veto that and we'll try it again. And so they did, and of course the second time Kingfisher won, but then Governor Seay found out what they had done, and so he overturned that vote as well, and so Guthrie was the capital by default. In October of 1891, Governor Seay decided he'd had enough, and he went back home to Indiana. And then President Benjamin Harrison appointed Governor Seay in early 1892. The governor was a very large man. He was 6'4", he weighed over 200 pounds. He was absolutely a giant of his time. He built his home in Kingfisher and not in the capital, hoping that Kingfisher would become the capital. It was an amazing building for the time. It's impressive now. And so for people that lived in tents or in log cabins that had, 10 people in one room house, this was amazing. And it was, to them, I think, a sign of what they hoped Kingfisher would be. They hoped that they would all be in, grand houses like this one day. He actually called the home Horizon Hill. This is the highest point in Kingfisher, and so with his grand mansion up on the hill, he could see all of downtown Kingfisher, and they could all see him up here on the hill. Kingfisher hoped that with a change in governor, maybe Governor Seay could go to the legislature and ask them to redo the vote. Unfortunately, that didn't quite work out for them. He was only the governor for about 16 months. Since the capital stayed Guthrie, they didn't have any use for this house as a governor's mansion. And so he just continued to use it as his private residence, and he lived here until 1901. I don't think that Kingfisher would be what it is if the governor hadn't chosen this as his home. I love this house. It's actually a lot of the reason that I decided to work here. I think it's really cool. I like the governor's story. I like the history of the house. After he moved out of it, actually, several businessmen in Kingfisher owned it in succession. And so not only being the governor's mansion, but also having just those other ties to the history of the area. Lots of people in the community have stories about, oh, my aunt lived there, or my grandma lived there. And so it's important not just as the governor's mansion, but also for that reason, people have familial connections to it.
Come back again next week as we continue to tell the best Oklahoma stories you never heard, only on LoyalTV.